All right, it is March 30th, 2022. A couple of quick updates. First of all, there was recent discussion with the producers and the lighting director. This is one of those strange things that you never think about performing it live, but there was concern that the lamps would be blown out, meaning super bright to the camera lens. You wouldn't be able to differentiate one from the other. So I just finished up some tweaks here to make sure that with the wiring that there's no problem with being able to hook it up to a dimmer and adjust the level so that it's all good for the camera. Also, I've been making a few small script tweaks here and there, and I just think it's really funny. I wanted to share this behind the scenes where two of my good friends, Jeff Eline and Timothy Carver, have been kind enough to record me doing versions of this routine when I've shared it with a group. One was at a magic club and one was at a public performance. And in both cases, these guys did not know why they were filming the routine. I just said, hey, I've been making some changes to the light bulb thing. Would you mind filming it for me? And in both cases, unbeknownst to them, I've taken the footage and immediately sent it off to the producers and the production team, and we've been using that to make some decisions about the process. So big thanks to Jeff and Timothy for unknowingly being a part of my second journey on Fool Us, and I can't wait to share that news with you. It is April 5th. We are less than a month away from heading out to Las Vegas and filming my second round of Fool Us. So excited. I made a decision tonight. It was something that had been bothering me and I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. I am going to make a second version of the light bulb display. I only have one, and it has been worrying me about the logistics of getting it to Las Vegas and what happens if I show up and it is broken or not working. I did this once before with a one-of-a-kind painting. I wasn't as concerned about the possibility of it getting damaged in transit. And I also had all of the extra supplies that I needed. You know, as much as I enjoyed I made the stand, if anything went wrong with it, or same thing with my table, like I built a table, I brought it there, but if it got damaged in transit, there was a workaround. The challenge with this routine, and particularly this prop that I'm bringing, is that it's one of a kind. There's only one like it. And if I show up and it's damaged, or worse, I get out there on stage and something goes wrong, then I'm sunk. That's it. I'm fortunate that I'm in a position to be able to build a backup. So I went ahead and ordered all of the necessary parts. Really, what made that decision easier was sort of the realization that, much like the X-ray painting routine, this is probably going to be something that I'm going to want to do for a while now that it has the potential to be seen by a national audience. And so I think one of the challenges when I talk to other professional entertainers is, you know, you get to have something that sort of is a signature piece or something that you really enjoy doing, and then you'll go to a magic shop and that prop is no longer available. I don't have that worry. I know that with a large majority of my things, if there's a specialty item that is one of a kind, then usually it's something that I've crafted as opposed to somebody else making. Now, there might be elements of it that I purchased from elsewhere, but the majority of my show came from Home Depot and Staples, and only a little bit of it came from Magic Store. And that is actually a little bit comforting, because I presume that even if there's a particular trick on a shelf at a magic shop that goes away after a decade, I'm pretty confident that those raw materials will still be available at a hardware store or an office supply store. There will be a hero version of the light bulb display, and then there will be a stunt double version. And the cost and time associated with making that happen, I believe, is going to be worth it in the long run, not only to make me less worried about what happens if I show up and there's something wrong, or what happens if it breaks along the way, but also that will be useful down the road as I continue to perform that routine. I already have a backup of each light bulb that is in the display. So if a bulb burns out, and I'll tell you honestly, I've been performing. So I looked it up. The original version of the display I've been performing since 2009. When I originally started performing it, I was doing it with colors, but then in 2016 is when I switched it up to be the 4 vintage light bulbs. So since 2016, I've been using those bulbs. And in 2016, I bought 2 of each type of bulb. I have never replaced any of the bulbs. So I went ahead and bought replacements for those. So I actually have 4 of every type of bulb now. So that will be plenty in terms of something getting broken in transit or something getting burned out in use. So I'll have 4 of each type of light bulb. I'll have 2 of the actual display itself, and that's going to be some great peace of mind. So here we are, less than a month out, and it reminds me a little bit of the first time I did Fool Us. There was a last minute decision. I think it was about 2 weeks out where we realized that I probably should bring my own table to the show. And my brother Matt and I were able to cobble that together. I'm feeling a little bit of those vibes, but at least this time it's my decision as opposed to sort of a realization based on a meeting with the producers. And also I have twice as much time. I still have a month to make this happen. That's plenty of time to get items ordered and to assemble a stunt double version of the display. And who knows, maybe the one that I'm going to be putting together right now will be the one that I decide is the hero, and that's the one that ends up on national television. It is April 15th, tax day, about 2 weeks away from going out to Las Vegas, and I am here in my shop seeing double. Here's the hero, here's the backup. That's going to give me peace of mind for a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to ship one of these ahead via FedEx. Today is when I finished up the backup, and I'm testing it, but while I'm testing it, I'm also simultaneously testing the hero unit, and it was doing some weird things. And eventually I discovered that the culprit was I added in a dimmer so that we would be able to adjust the intensity of the lights. Apparently that dimmer was creating a bunch of noise in the circuitry that was causing all sorts of problems. Hopefully I've got that ironed out now, and we've got these awesome units. Only one is going to be seen on TV, but I'm going to sleep so much better at night knowing that I've got a backup for it. In my normal show, what I try really hard to do is make sure that the bare bones of what I need to do is as low tech as possible. So that way, if my sound system is getting messed up that night, or if I'm trying to perform in a place where there's no electricity, or there's some sort of electrical interference, or a battery doesn't get charged, who knows what, I really do try in my shows to make sure that I'm using technology and electricity as sort of window dressing to an existing something that has a more old-fashioned mechanical or sleight of hand method. And now I am going on national television not following my own advice. I'm bringing along a thing that, you know, if something happens, something gets jostled the wrong way on my way there, this could not work, and that will be a huge stress. All right, so here we are. We've got the 2, and that works out well because we are 2 weeks from Las Vegas. It is 12:30 a.m. on April 21st, a week and a half until I'm flying to Vegas. Earlier today, it's 12:30 a.m. Earlier today, I finished up, I thought, some of the finer tuning details of both of the rigs that I'm bringing to Vegas. And I was rehearsing with one, which was the the original one, not the backup, but the original. And there was a problem that involved putting the dimmer into the mix. And, you know, I know just enough about electricity to get myself in trouble sometimes. And so I just spent the last 2 hours taking the whole thing apart, removing a bunch of wiring from it, and redoing the wiring. Basically, what I have to go on is the backup that I made has been working fine with a dimmer, and I have had zero problems with it. And the original one has had problems ever since I put the dimmer into the mix. I don't entirely know why, but basically tonight I just took a bunch of wires out and went back to sort of how did I do version 2.0? Because version 1.0 I wired up without the dimmer. Version 2.0, I already knew there was going to be a dimmer, so I did a couple of things different that in my mind I didn't think would have an impact on the way it functions, but clearly it did. So I'm happy to report, at least for now, fingers crossed, that now that I've rewired everything and put it all back together, everything is working. I rehearsed with it several times tonight. And, you know, this is why I have a backup. I would be freaking out a lot more if this was the only version of the rig that I had. And in 10 days, I'm going to be flying off to Las Vegas, and I have to hope that it's going to work under pressure. So on the one hand, I'm relieved that I have the backup, but on the other hand, if the primary one doesn't work, I don't really have a backup then, do I? Current thinking is I'm going to be using my second generation one, the quote unquote backup is probably the one I'm going to be using for the actual on-stage recording. The first time I did this, meaning national television, Penn and Teller Fool Us, I went with a trick that was demanding in terms of some sleight of hand sneaky stuff, but there was no tech involved. And this one is something of the opposite. I feel more confident that I can train my muscles to do certain moves, and I feel less confident in the technology that may or may not work. So I'm feeling better about it, but we will see. So this is exciting. I'm going to go to bed. All right, we are 1 week away from the filming day. Actually, less than a week, I'm going to be flying out to the Rio All Suites Hotel and Casino in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Today's milestone was I put the backup version of the prop in the mail. So that got shipped out, and today is Tuesday. Presumably it will be arriving in Las Vegas on Thursday, and I figured that gave enough padding to account for any possible shipping delays that might happen. There was one option that would have gotten there early next week, but that's cutting a little too close. So anyway, the tough equation I have to figure out is, am I more likely to encounter an overzealous TSA person who is having a bad day and doesn't like this thing and decides that it's not allowed to be on an airplane? Or is it more likely that I will ship it via FedEx and it will get dropped down a flight of stairs, and by the time it arrives, it's basically worthless? That was a really tough call to make. But eventually what I decided was, you know what? There's more that I can do to prevent against damage during shipping than I can to prevent a TSA person from deciding that they do not want me to be carrying on this one-of-a-kind, weird-looking lamp. So that was ultimately the deciding factor. But definitely, you know, There's probably no right or wrong, and I'm sure that by the time I get there, both units are going to be working just fine, and it's all going to be technically a waste of time and money. In the meantime, I still have this unit here, and this is the second version that I made. So the one that I shipped is my original one. But I'm actually thinking right now that this one may be the hero that I intend on using. There's a couple of things that no major changes, but a couple of things that I like about it a little bit more. But very small, minimal sorts of stuff. So either way, either one could be used right now, no problem. It'd be fine. But just sort of the way I'm feeling. So yeah, this will go in checked bag. And hopefully the other one arrives in one piece. And then hopefully this arrives in one piece. And we will be good to go. 1 week away. Woo!